Yes, this video deals with word problems, but it's a lot more than that. We actually need to stop, read this problem. It is important whenever you have a diagram within a problem that you actually go in and look at what the units represent. Notice that the vertical scaling here is the number of inmates in thousands, the units are important, and that the horizontal axis refers to the year beginning in the year 2000. So 0 represents the year 2000, 2 represents the year 2002, etc. And we actually have two graphs in one because the blue graph is that for the male inmates and the pink squares are for the female inmates. And we have the equation of these two lines given to us, and it also tells us beneath the graph that y represents the number of inmates in thousands and x represents the number of years since 2000. So it's always important to take a close look at what explanations, what units you have given to you on a graph before you really dive in. Okay, let's start this first problem. What is the slope of the line representing the number of female inmates? Well, we go up above again and we notice that the females are the pink squares, and the equation above that line has a slope of 4.0. So I'm going to write down here as the first part of my answer that m is equal to 4.0. Now it asks us to interpret the meaning of the slope in the context of this problem. Now the context means that we have to deal with inmates, we have to have years in there, and when we're talking about the slope we always want to get a rise and a run described somehow in our response. I'm going to say the following: each year, comma, the number of female inmates increased by about 4,000. Now, there are other ways to word this, but let me point out what I've done here. Each year, that's my way of talking about the run. If you look at the horizontal axis up above, you're running years and you're rising the number of inmates. So instead of going rise over run, I'm dealing with run first and then my rise. And I find in these word descriptions of the slope, it's easier to do the run first. Then I'm talking about the number of female inmates increasing by about 4,000. Even though the slope was 4.0, I had to take into account that the units for the y values were in thousands of inmates and make that interpretation there. Okay, that's critical to this problem. Moving on to the next part, what's the slope of the line represent for the male inmates? Same thing. Going up above, we see that the slope is going to be 19.2. And when we describe this in context, I'm going to say pretty much the same thing. Each year, the number of male inmates increased by about, my writing is pretty bad here, sorry, by about, now 19 in thousands makes that 19,000. The 0.2 means we're going to have 200 inmates. Okay, next part. Which group, males or females, has the larger slope? Well, we're comparing 4.0 for a slope and 19.2, and obviously the 19.2 is larger, and that goes with the men. So I'm just going to put that right there, put a little box around it. What does this imply? Okay, the slope refers to the increase in the number of inmates. So I'm going to say the number of male inmates is increasing. We already knew that, but I'm going to say more rapidly than. That's the key part of this problem. More rapidly than the number of number of female inmates. They're asking you to draw a comparison between the slopes, and the more rapidly than is really what's going to be the crux of our argument here. Okay, in this final part, they're asking us to use the equation to make a prediction about the year 2015. Well, notice our scaling started at the year 2000. So x, in this case, is going to be 15 years after the year 2000. So we're going to be using 15. And so for the male inmates, for the female inmates, this is going to be y equals 4.0x plus 15. Well, plus 71. My apologies, I'm not reading the equation here. And 15 is what's getting substituted in for the x value because we want to make this prediction for the year 2015. So we're going to have y equals 4.0 times 15 plus 71, which becomes y equals 60 plus 71, and therefore y is equal to 131. Now, because this is a word problem, I probably should describe this, and I'm going to say approximately 131,000, remember I've got to write the proper unit here, approximately 131,000 female inmates in the year, or in the U.S. in the year 2015. I probably should make that a sentence and say there will be approximately this many. But notice how we really want to pay attention to the units as we're working through this problem.